Happy Friday, all you Texans. This is the James Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Yeah, let's go. Happy Friday. We made it. This is also the sort of like a Mother's Day Eve edition of the James Show. I know it's not like until Sunday, but one of the continuing questions I'm going to be asking throughout the show is your Mother's Day gift ideas. And at the end of the show, I'll share some of the feedback I got or some of the better ideas. I can tell you what you don't want to get your wife for Mother's Day. You don't want her to get go to Buc-ee's and get the onesie, the pajamas that have like the hood that comes over with like the little beaver head on it. Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. She's gonna look at you like you're crazy, and you're gonna have to give it to your daughter, and then you get made fun of for until Christmas, pretty much. So yeah, don't. I don't think I'm very good at picking out gifts. I mean, sometimes I get it right. Sometimes I get it really wrong. When I get it really wrong, I get it really wrong. I'm super good at picking out gifts for guys. Guys, we're simple. I mean, we're barely above dogs when it comes to gift giving. You like treats? Get him a treat. He likes food? Get him food. He likes whiskey? Get him whiskey. He likes golf? Get him some golf balls. You don't have to get him like a new $3,000 driver. But I want to hear not just recommendations. Really, I want to get specific here. What did you get your wife for Mother's Day? Or what did you get your mom for Mother's Day? Send me an email, james@wbap.com. You can also send me Facebook messages, and I'll try and help some of the other guys out there not make big, embarrassing screw-ups like I do sometimes with this Mother's Day weekend. Top story today, the economy. Just generally speaking, the economy, well, I mean, yeah, that's your top headline for the day. I can't reduce everything down into some simple thing. There's going to be a little bit of nuance here. But the stock market's been up positive the last 2 days, and it's mixed today. The S&P's up. Dow's a little bit down, like 0.1% down. But when I checked the markets yesterday, they've recovered. And I don't mean like they're setting all-time record highs. But when you look at what the stock market was at on April 2nd when the Liberation Day tariffs were announced, they've all made it back up now. And if we keep going just a little bit more, we will be setting all-time record highs. Now, that goes in sharp contrast with what you were told just 2 weeks ago. He's crashed the economy. We're at the beginning of a recession. This is terrible. He's ruining the economy. It's just destruction, chaos. And then what happened? Markets bounced right back. It did the exact opposite of what they were saying. You know, the reporting is just so terrible in so many of these outlets. Like, how often do you have to get everything just totally wrong before you change your worldview? You know, and some of it's important things, you know, like whether or not the economy's in a free fall or about to bounce right back because of a tariff convulsion. There's other important things, like whether or not Hunter's laptop was really his or Russian disinformation, but they even get like little chintzy things wrong that don't really affect you, like whether or not Jussie Smollett really got mugged. But what we're seeing here is what a lot of people predicted, and I cautiously predicted this, is that the tariffs were just being used as a tool. And yes, if we leave these tariffs on at extremely high levels for super long periods of time, that will not be good for the economy. But that's not what's going on here. Donald Trump inflicted a pain point as a basis for negotiations in order to get better trade deals. Now that the first big trade deal has been announced, UK, probably the most important one out there besides China, maybe? I don't know. I think in retrospect, a lot of people aren't going to think that. I think what you just heard in the top of the hour news, it was so good, so beautiful. Smelled so sweet to hear that Walmart and some of these other retailers are looking at sewing your clothes together in India instead of China. Why not? Why not? They have sewing machines there. They know how to run them. You can pay them $3 a day. They don't need air conditioning like we do. I know that's not preferable for our taste, but that's better than their options right now. Look, 500 million people in India still poop outside. You understand that? There is a whole population greater than the size of the United States that it remains undeveloped, that could really use a job, that could really use a toilet. Or at least like a hole. Like when I say they go outside, they go outside. They don't even have like an outhouse. They just go in the field. Now, this is a rural thing, but it's been a great untapped labor force that many people have just been waiting for it to come online, and this could jumpstart it. And the first seamstress shack that opens up in India is going to make China sweat. The first factory that they see that is moved from China to India, they're going to have to move. They're going to have to do something or just go down in flames, which I don't think they're going to do. Let's do a little more nuanced talk here. I was trying to get a good explanation for the auto tariffs because the auto tariffs on the UK got a little bit of a tweak here, and Carolyn Levitt was asked about it in the White House press conference. Right before the show started, I recorded this for you. It's only about a minute, so stick with me, but I think you'll understand after this.
Thanks a lot, Carolyn. I want to ask you about the trade deal that the president announced yesterday with the UK as it relates to the auto sector.
Sure.
The trade group that represents the big three here in the U.S. believes that it may put the big three automakers at a competitive disadvantage. What the trade group says is that it will now be cheaper to import a UK vehicle with very little American content than a USMCA compliant vehicle imported from Mexico or Canada with just 50% American content. What's your response to that criticism coming from this trade group?
Well, first of all, let's be clear about what the deal does. It sets a 10% rate on auto imports for the first 100 cars that are imported into the United States. 100,000 cars, thank you. That would be very few cars. 100,000 cars imported from the United Kingdom. After 100,000 vehicles, it goes back up to a 25% tariff. And as for our U.S. auto manufacturers, our auto industry, the president wants to put them on the best pedestal to compete. And by the way, if they produce vehicles right here in the United States of America, they will face no tariff at all. I would argue of any industry, the president has spent more time talking to and listening to the concerns of our auto industry here at home. He hears them, he believes in them, he wants to see them produce their vehicles here in the United States of America. This is a good deal for them too.
All right, so that's not going to fit succinctly in a cute little headline, but you see deals are being made. Progress is being made. Trade is being restored. Maybe on a better level than it was just 6 months ago. But there's plenty of reasons to be optimistic about it. Well, coming up next, we're going to talk about a couple of reasons to not be optimistic about it. Number one, debt. $1.2 trillion is what we're holding in credit card debt. A big chunk of that's me. Thank you very, very much. But there's also, what was it, $1.6 trillion in student loan debt. And these things are going to have to be repaid. The credit cards are already coming after you, but student loan garnishments are going to start happening this summer. So there's a couple reasons for there to be a drag on the macro economy as a whole or the micro economy of your household, credit card debt holders like me. Coming up next, we'll talk with Andrew Pintus from Bankrate. He's also a student loan counselor and go over some of the options to help get you out of debt. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there, welcome back to the James Show. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Keep the Mother's Day gift ideas coming. I had a couple of good ones already. I had one that said, hey, maybe you should take mom to a murder mystery dinner theater. Oh, that's a good one. Good one. I did that for a Miss Parker birthday party one time, the murder mystery dinner theater. Hi, Miss Parker. And it was a big hit. I ended up having to do it for my daughter's 13th birthday this year. So, yeah, they love that. Good call. Kevin says, I bought my wife an ayam samani. I had to look that up. It's a black chicken. Interesting. I don't know if Miss Parker would be down for a live chicken, but it did kind of look cool. Thank you for trying, Kevin. My next guest, though, is going to help us get out of debt. You heard a lot about student loans this week, but I have credit card debt. There's $1.2 trillion in credit card debt out there. And so for a lot of people, it's sort of the similar conversation. How do you handle these big, giant debts? Well, let's ask Andrew Prentice from Bankrate. Welcome back to the James Show. And let's just start with the simple ones, the student loans situation. Some people have gotten their deferments. Garnishments might start again this summer. What advice do you have for them, Andrew?
Yeah, thanks for having me. The best advice is to just make sure you're on top of what's happening. So with student loans specifically, if you have federal loans, contacting your federal student loan servicer is a great first step just to understand what your options are. If you're in dire need of a repayment pause, you might look into something called a deferment or forbearance to pause your payments. If you need lower payments, you might look into income-driven repayment plans. So again, just being proactive and opening up those communication lines if you haven't already.
All right, so I'm just an average guy out there. I haven't have a job. It's not fantastic. It's not a rocket ship to the moon, but I do have a whole lot of debt. I can get another deferment or a change to my payment schedule, or what would you recommend in that situation?
Yeah, I'd say for someone like that, probably the best thing to do, at least temporarily, is to consider income-driven repayment for federal loans, which means, capping your monthly dues at a percentage of your discretionary income. So there are various income-driven repayment plans available. StudentAid.gov has a tool called the Loan Simulator where you can enter in your information and it'll kind of spit out, what your monthly and overall costs would look like under each plan. So that's a great way to choose the plan. And then alongside that, setting up a budget, to make sure that at least in the short term, that lower monthly payment fits. And then in the long term, you can start to figure out, is there space in my budget where I can carve out a larger monthly due?
Well, I think the problem with that is if you pay too little, you end up having to pay for such a long amount of time and you end up paying more in interest because it sort of compounds on you like that. Mm-hmm. How do you balance that concern?
Yeah, that's a good concern. I'd say, for many folks, income-driven repayment is, again, just a temporary solution, sort of as you're figuring out how do I increase my income or how do I handle, maybe other debt that I have, whether it's credit cards or other types of loans. So it's an option to sort of get you through, again, while you're figuring out what's a better way to manage your cash flow. And then obviously, once you feel like you're able to do that, making extra payments on your student loans and to accelerate your repayment is a great way to cut down on those interest costs.
All right, we're talking with Andrew Prentice from Bankrate about getting you out of debt. Let's look at credit cards. What if I want to take out another loan to pay off my credit cards because the other loan will have a smaller interest rate? Is that something you recommend, Andrew?
Yeah, in many cases that can be helpful. So the situation where it makes the most sense, like you mentioned there, is say you have 3 credit cards, you're having trouble zeroing your balance each month, and you're facing interest rates, around 22%, 23%, which is the average in the country for credit cards. If you can qualify for a personal loan, say close to the average rate on those, which is around 12, 13%, you're saving yourself a bunch of money, which is great on the interest. But also you can go from making 3 monthly payments to your credit cards to just a single monthly payment to a personal loan lender. So it can be beneficial in both those ways. The sort of catch to that is that personal loans are harder to qualify for than credit cards. So you're going to need at least solid credit or a co-signer or co-applicant to help you access that personal loan, unless you do have great credit on your own.
Where would I go for that? A regular bank, a credit union, or some other institution?
Yeah, like anytime you're looking for a financial product, the best thing you can do is to shop around. Banks offer personal loans, but so do credit unions, online lenders, and then there are also marketplaces like Bankrate but many others that you can sort of enter your information and compare different loan amounts, terms, interest rates, and that way you can figure out what's the best option. But the key is to definitely shop around so that you can compare a bunch of different options.
Is there anything that's going to be affected by tariffs that could potentially impact personal loans or rates?
So tariffs don't directly impact personal loans or their interest rates, but where they do have some impact is on the behavior of those lenders that we just talked about, the banks and credit unions and online companies. Typically, when there's uncertainty brought to the economy, in this case by tariffs, those lenders are more likely to tighten or restrict their underwriting or eligibility criteria. So basically what that means is that if, say, you have a fair credit score, you might need to improve your credit score a little bit to qualify for one of these loans in this new economic environment.
All right, we're talking with Andrew Pentis from Bankrate about getting you out of debt. And one of the negatives I saw personally with myself, especially Miss Parker, and then some of our friends when they had a lot of student loan debt, it wasn't just the dollars and cents. They just stressed about it so much. Do you have advice for people to manage their stress levels?
Absolutely, yeah. And what we see at Bankrate is that those in your inner circle and your social network are not alone in this. More than half of Americans feel the stress of their student loan debt, according to the survey data we're looking at. But absolutely, in terms of sort of limiting that stress, I'd say asking for and getting help is the best way to do that. So.
Oh, he just dropped. What? Yeah, his phone call dropped completely. Oh, don't worry about it. We were about done with him anyway, weren't we? All right, that was Andrew Pentis from Bankrate, trying to give you some help dealing with your student loans, but also if you're like me, credit card debt, pretty bad. Coming up next, Rachel Maddow was on Stephen Colbert trying to tell you that everything is just terrible and everybody agrees that everything Trump does is the absolute worst. And then you're going to hear CNN's Harry Enton, their pollster, disprove that. Back-to-back audio coming up next on The James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. All right, it's a weird day on the James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. On Fox News, it says Dems storm New Jersey ICE facility holding MS-13 member. Okay, well, that's a little misleading. When you go dig into it, there were some congressional representatives from New Jersey that showed up at the Delaney Detention Center in New Jersey. It's in Newark, and it's a detention facility. It does probably have MS-13 gang members in there. Has a bunch of other alleged killers and child rapers and, just a bunch of criminals, really. And I'm going through and trying to figure this out. I'll probably have more details for you in an upcoming segment, but this seems bizarre because on the website, on the TV, they said 2 people stormed in. On the website, it says 3 members of Congress stormed through the gates of a U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement detention facility. It says they went into the initial place where you get screened for security. They were demanding to be let inside because it's part of their oversight duty because they're in some important congressional committee. And this just happened like right when the James Show started. And so then they just went past security on their own. And I don't know what the details are after that. What are they doing? Bizarre stuff. You don't see them going into for even stories that they care about. Like they didn't go storm the detention facility even where Carmelo Anthony was being held or in some of these other situations. They're doing so much for these illegal immigrants that they've never done for American citizens, going to El Salvador and trying to get them out of prison and whatnot. This is bizarre. I feel like I'm missing a whole lot of information here. I'm keeping an eye on it, and it's pretty easy to keep an eye on it because one of the ladies doing it, or 2 of them, keep putting stuff on their X account. So I'm going and reading their tweets and figuring it out. And so Representative LaMonica McIver, Representative Bonnie Watson Coleman, I'm looking at her X page right now. And if you're not familiar with her, she is New Jersey's 12th Congressional District Representative. In her bio on X, she says she's a proud Black woman, a member of the U.S. Progressives Caucus, and also co-chair of the Caucus on Black Women and Girls. And then she has her pronouns in her bio, too. Fantastic. As I find more, I'll keep you updated on that because that sounds like it's going to be something huge by the end of the day. All right. I know you didn't watch the Stephen Colbert show. I didn't either, but Rachel Maddow was on it. And so this has got to be a tornado of fun, right? Oh, listen to how fun these kids are. This is a comedy show, by the way. This is supposed to be entertaining. And they're just so doom and gloom and hyper negative. And everything about this guy is just the worst. Their democracy's in peril. We got literally Hitler taking over. We're surrounded by white supremacists and racists and misogynists and just hatred everywhere. And just get a load of this just real quick.
This is not the behavior of people, because the Republicans haven't stood up en masse to resist what Donald Trump has done. A few people here or there. This is not the behavior of people who seem like they believe they have to answer to voters in 18 months.
Yeah.
That worries me. Yeah. Not that they're not worried, but that they don't think that they should be worried because maybe they don't have to worry about an election at all.
Yeah.
Oh, stop it.
And yes, that is the thing to worry about. And
really?
I mean, I feel like for as heartened as I am about the American people literally protesting every single day against what Trump and the Republicans are doing, and so much more resistance than anybody told us to expect, I think it's also true that the people who warned us about how bad this was going to be, the people who were really hysterical, like really the doomsayers, they were all right about how bad this is. And what we're experiencing is not just somebody who's fighting against the Democratic Party, he's fighting against the democratic process. He doesn't think there should be elections.
It's anybody. Is one person out there in a position of power or a media figure or a columnist or a blogger actually saying, hey, I don't think there should be a midterm election. I don't think we should do elections anymore. Is that one person's stance in America? Much less on Team Red. There is homeless people in the streets of downtown Dallas right now just shouting obscenities and random things. Not one of them would say something that dumb. It's just fantasy. It's just like fan fiction. It's like Handmaid's Tale. Like, look at this awful scenario we're walking into. No, you're not. Yeah, everything's terrible. It's just much worse than we thought. Oh, yeah. Unemployment at 4.2%. Inflation at 2.8%. The stock market's higher than it was when we started with the tariff nonsense on April 2nd. Yeah, real catastrophe. But here's where it just it's one thing to lie about the fantasy of the dystopian future that you think is going to come. But when you lie about current times, it's demonstrably unprovable.
There's never in the history of this country been an American president who's been this unpopular at 100 days in. The American public are just saying no. Are just saying no. No, no, no.
Yeah, and I cut off a lot of that because she went through a little spell. She's like, on everything it is, whether it's tariffs or the economy or LGBT issues or women's rights or democracy, everything. All Americans hate everything he's doing. It's just the worst. Let's go to Harry Enton. This was yesterday on CNN. He's their pollster guy, and he was saying some of this Trump stuff looks pretty good in the polls.
All right, net approval rating handling crime. What do we have here? We have a positive rating for Donald Trump, even in the most recent polling. Look at that, at plus 2 points. Far better than Joe Biden, who was so far underwater. My goodness, he was setting records at minus 26 points. You rarely ever see it. So Donald Trump ran in part on law and order. It was one of the reasons that he got elected. And at this particular point, Americans like what they're hearing from him on the issue of crime. And you see this right here with a plus 2 net approval rating, far better than Joe Biden left office with back in 2024.
Yeah, so not only is the most unpopular guy after 100 days in every situation. No, you don't have to go back through history to find a more unpopular guy. All you got to do is go back about, 4 months? Yeah. Big, long, record-setting unpopularity there. Another clip here from Harry Enton on CNN talking about Trump's polls.
How does this then compare to how people viewed it in the first term?
Yeah, so this is another interesting thing, right? We compared Donald Trump's first term to now his second term. And what do we see here? We see that Donald Trump's net approval rating on handling crime is far better now at plus 2 points, the view of term number 2, than we go back to a retrospective approval rating back in March of 2024, in which he was underwater at minus 13 points. So he's doing 15 points better in terms of how people are viewing his handling of crime now than he was doing back in March of 2024.
I don't expect a correction from Rachel Maddow nor Stephen Colbert. But, if things are really that bad, why do you have to lie about it? If he really is that awful of a president, why do you have to lie about it? Coming up next, what in the world did Jasmine Crockett say this time? 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey, welcome back to the James Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Wild situation in Newark. All right, a little more information on this Delaney detention facility, Delaney Hall or whatever it's being called here. If you're just joining us, it's reported 2 congressmen that are holed up in a guard booth inside an ICE detention camp. They broke into an ICE detention facility in Newark, and they are waiting to I don't know, for a tour. They're waiting to meet with some of these people. They say they're there for their statutory oversight duty, which I think this is Representative LaMonica McIver.
Coleman, myself, Congresswoman LaMonica McIver, and Congressman Rob Menendez. We're here conducting an oversight visit, which we have the power to do as congressional members. Statutory authority. And so that is what we're here for, and we're waiting to speak to a supervisor to let us in here because, as you can see, they will not let us in.
What do you need to do in there? Like, even if you have some problem with the way the facility's run, this isn't the way you fix it. You're in Congress. Go pass a bill. You're in committee. Go propose it and get it out of your committee. Put it on the floor. You don't break. Oh, this is so weird. So I feel like I'm really missing something. So this is a detention facility that I think was vacant until last week. They say it just opened to ICE this week. And 2 days ago, the Newark mayor went to go try and stop it from being used, try and get it shut down. He said that he didn't give permission. The city did not permit them to use Delaney Hall as a detention facility. They're like, well, we didn't agree to this, and this contravenes the will of the city, or I don't know if they just have some sort of zoning ordinance or whatever. But they're saying, we do not approve of this. In fact, we reject your request to open a facility. And they're like, well, federal government owns this land and this facility, so you don't really get much say. And then I saw another report over here on X that Mayor Ras Baraka was arrested at the Delaney Hall ICE Detention Center after an argument with agents. So we have congressmen who were there for a visit who snuck past the gate. The gates had to open to let a bus of detainees in. They ran past the security setup, and now they're holed up in a. This is what I'm reading off X here. They're holed up in a guard booth. And I don't know what their next step is. I don't know if they thought this through. What are they trying to, like, what's the end game here? But look at them, just bite, scratching, clawing, fighting, putting themselves in danger. You got a mayor getting himself arrested. You've got congressmen breaking the law and breaking into a restricted facility. All for what? Not even for illegal aliens, for criminal illegal aliens. This is a weird story. I'll keep an eye on it throughout the show. All right, time for another fantastic edition of What on Earth did Jasmine Crockett say this time?
Jasmine Crockett, queen of the liberal tea.
Bleach blonde, bad built butch body. Governor Hot Wheels, and he is a hot ass mess, honey.
Queen of the liberal tears.
And in today's episode, Jasmine Crockett sounded a lot like what you heard in the last segment with Rachel Maddow and Stephen Colbert. Everyone's mad at Trump. Everything he does, everyone hates. I know it, you know it, everybody knows it, believe me. Here's Jasmine, local congressional representative.
I cannot wait until voters have an opportunity to say, you took food out of my mouth, you took a roof from over my head, you're responsible for making sure that I do not have health care. I'm going to make sure you don't have a job.
Man, well, I mean, that's kind of a good attitude to have if we were in COVID. There were many people running around denying you the chance to go get food, denying you your job, getting you fired over a vaccine that doesn't even work, getting you fired for wanting to assemble when you're not supposed to be allowed to assemble. There are people who got arrested, pastors got arrested for daring to open their church and exercise their freedom of both assembly and religion. Where were you on that one? Yeah, look out. Donald Trump's trying to take food out of your mouth. How's he taking food out of your mouth? This is like a fantasy of what they wish was true. It's like they're trying to speak this into existence. Oh, everybody's mad at Trump on every issue. No, you wish that was the case. Oh, men can have babies. No, you wish that was the case. No, the Russian disinformation that is on that laptop, that's not Hunter's laptop. Yeah, you wish that was the case. But reality's here. The economy's not in a disaster. We're at 4.2% unemployment. The stock market is above where it was when the whole tariff thing started having its convulsions on April 2nd. Things are going okay. Deals are being made. Trade deals are being announced. Alternative sourcing for some of the stuff we get from China is already underway. Let's hear this again just one more time. Just go ahead, Jasmine.
I cannot wait until voters have an opportunity to say, you took food out of my mouth, you took a roof from over my head, you're responsible for making sure that I do not have health care. I'm going to make sure you don't have a job.
It's also doubly weird that the voters did just speak. Like 6 months ago, we heard from the voters. That's not what they said. You think they all changed their mind in 6 months? You think like, oh my goodness, we're caught off guard by the way this guy is governing. No, we already had 4 years of this guy. We already knew. We already know. And they're still living in this fantasy. Is this what you voted for? Yes, this is what we voted for. Shutting down the border, cutting giant swaths of government, renegotiating unfair trade deals. Yes, this is what we voted for. Do you really think we were voting out of racism or sexism or because Kamala Harris is a mixture of both? Like Biden said on The View yesterday? No, it really was for all these economic issues. It really was for these immigration issues. It really was about law and order and security and safety and being more judicial stewards of the taxpayer money. What is the fantasy? The only explanation I have is they're trying to speak this stuff. They're saying things that they wish were true. Good luck with that. I don't know if that's going to help much in the midterms. You can tell the voters that they don't like this, but I think they do. All right, get ready for Main Street Fest. This is happening in Grapevine, Texas. May 16th through the 18th, presented by Bank of the West, is a timeless Texas tradition. 3 days of nonstop fun, headlined by the incredible Neil McCoy. If you want to get some free tickets from us, you have a chance to win. Text the word STREET to 800-288-9227. Street, like Main Street Festival, street to 800-288-9227. Coming up next, some updates on these Democrat congressmen who have stormed a New Jersey ICE facility and barricaded themselves into a security booth. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Happy Friday, fellow Texans. It's the James Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Moms, if I don't see you before then, happy Mother's Day. If you have Mother's Day gift ideas, get them in. Send me an email or a Facebook message or leave a comment on YouTube, whatever. I'll see it, and we'll cover that at the end of the show. But right now, we have ourselves a situation here. I've just dropped whatever I was going to do for the next few segments here. Bro, over in New Jersey, it is going down. In Newark, New Jersey, they just opened Delaney Hall as an ICE detention facility earlier this week. 3 congressmen, the mayor of Newark, and a mob of protesters. Now they'll look at some of the pictures and videos around. They didn't just show up by themselves. There's a mob behind them of people who aren't really in a very much of a good mood. And they just decided that, well, we have, statutory oversight obligations, and we demand to be let in here. We demand to talk to your supervisor. They just showed up, started making some demands. And the security guards at the front were like, bro, this is above my pay grade. I know I can't let you into an active prison. And so they didn't let them in. But the next time a bus came through with some detainees, when the gates opened, the congressman ran inside. And the report I have right now is they're holed up in a booth. I don't know what their next step is, but here's the breaking news. The mayor that was there got himself arrested. Well, says detained in some reports, arrested in other reports. The AP uses the term arrested. Newark Mayor Ras Baraka. So the AP confirms that. If you go to the person who had him arrested, that would be Alina Habba. She is the district attorney. Is that what she is? U.S. attorney for her region includes New Jersey. So Alina Habba put on Twitter in the second segment of the James Show. The mayor of Newark, Ras Baraka, committed trespass and ignored multiple warnings from Homeland Security investigations to remove himself from the ICE detention center in Newark, New Jersey this afternoon. He has willingly chosen to disregard the law that will not stand in this state. He has been taken into custody, and then in all caps, no one is above the law. Oh, he did the FA, and now he's doing the FO. So this didn't all happen in a vacuum, and this didn't just spring up today. There's a little bit of ramp up to this scenario. First, it was announced that ICE was going to be opening a detention facility in this previously unused place, according to some people I'm reading on Twitter. I didn't see this from a very good source, but it makes kind of sense. Then the mayor of Newark doesn't want it to happen. Now, the mayor of Newark may just be grandstanding because he's running for governor right now, and getting handcuffs makes him a martyr and a hero and gets him all kinds of promotion that he would have to spend tens of millions of dollars to buy. So I see that angle there. But also there were some words that were exchanged earlier this week. So I'm going to back it up. Can we go all the way back in the time machine to Monday? I know, not that far. But Alina Habba was on with Martha McCallum, and I'm going to play you the first 2 minutes and 9 seconds of this. By the way, Alina Habba, what is she like before she was U.S. Attorney for New Jersey? Was she Miss Universe? Where'd they find this woman? But this will explain a lot of it. Give me 2 minutes here. This was on Fox News on May 5th.
Pushback against the reopening of a 1,000-bed ICE detention center in Newark, New Jersey, which is a sanctuary city. ICE says that this center will help manage the region's growing removal operations. Newark's Democrat Mayor Ras Baraka also is running for governor and says that inspection and permit processes are not being followed. He's slamming ICE and saying this place will not reopen. Watch.
We know what ICE has done in the past. We've seen them. We know how they operate. We know that they have picked people up who have not broken any laws. We know they've deported people and refused to bring them back.
Let's bring in Alina Habba, interim U.S. Attorney for New Jersey. Alina, great to have you with us today. So, these are the kinds of institutions across the country that are being utilized for the purpose of processing people at this point. We know that people want to see people processed, and this would be a holding facility. Tell me what your take is on this debate.
I mean, the hypocrisy is real here, Martha. So what do they want? I mean, I'm going to ask them the question. Do you want us to have facilities so that these illegals can have due process, even though they have administrative orders that say that they have gone through the court system and they should be deported? Or do you want us to just put them on a plane and ship them out? Here you have a mayor who's slamming opening up a facility, is obviously grandstanding because he is running for governor, and is getting in the way of us giving due process when they complain about it. It's unbelievable. So what would they prefer, them on the street or just get on the plane? You can't make it up. We don't know what they stand for anymore. All I can tell you is all they stand for is anything anti right now. Anything anti the DOJ's efforts, ICE's efforts to come down on criminals who came in illegally. And it's got to stop. It's a waste of taxpayer dollars. I know in Newark in particular, we have so much crime, gangs. I'm working there. I work there every day. We need to refocus taxpayer dollars on real things. This grandstanding needs to stop. It's a waste of time.
Okay, wow. So you did hear a clip from the mayor earlier this week, and then from the lady who just had him arrested, the U.S. Attorney for New Jersey, Alina Habba. All right, that's a lot we were able to piece together in such a short amount of time. How this is going to end, I don't know. We have I don't want to say an active shooter situation, but we have an active situation here where it hasn't been resolved. If the mayor's been put in handcuffs and given a free ride to the local precinct, that's one thing. But the reports still say that there are 2 Democrat congressmen. Well, there was 3 on the TV Chiron earlier. I don't know if they're counting the mayor into the 3 Democrats have broken into the facility, because I'm only seeing reports that the mayor has been arrested. All right. So what about these other congressional representatives that went around the security into the detention facility? What's going to happen with them? I don't know. Are they about to get themselves arrested? This is wild. I'll keep an eye on it. Something happens, you'll hear it here first. Coming up next, how's the economy doing now that we have a UK trade deal? Trump says it's about to take off like a rocket. Do you buy that? I do. We'll talk about it with Spencer next, coming up. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there, welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. It is not a normal day today. More details coming up on the elected officials that broke into a New Jersey ICE detention facility, strangely enough. I'm just trying to catch up here on the latest, and I'll get it to you after we talk to Spencer McGowan, Net Worth Radio, because I still want to get y'all caught up on the economy and economic stuff. Spencer, welcome back to the James Show. Yeah, and a happy early Mother's Day to the mothers in your life. I know you're not a mother, but it applies. You know, that is one of my tips. Buy them flowers not on Mother's Day, like 2 or 3 days before. They're everywhere. They're not super expensive. And if you wait till the last minute, you will really get fleeced. So there's some good financial advice to start off with there. All right. So let's talk about stocks here, because Liberation Day, or whatever it was called, started on April 2nd. And it looks like stocks have pretty much recovered everything and are starting to pile on above where they were when the tariff tiff first started. I know we're not going to get the same level of optimism on the upside that we got reported on the downside, but things look pretty good over there. And I can understand what they're saying. Well, I believe there will be a cascade of deals now. Like, they probably negotiated this a month ago, and they've just been sitting on it because once the other people you're negotiating with see the deals that the UK got, you know, they may ask for something better, or, you know, we may have gotten a little more out of them than we would have gotten if they had seen the UK deal. So are you expecting a lot more trade deals to be announced in the next few days? Whoa, I didn't see that. All right, so let's talk about some of the lessons we could have learned here from the last month of convulsions. And number one, Spencer, I have to tell people who gripe to me, my friends and acquaintances and listeners who gripe about, how their stocks got hurt or their IRA got ruined or my retirement's wrecked now. Well, then you are not invested correctly. If you are that sensitive to taking losses, you're overweighted in stocks. Then you haven't really assessed your risk or even thought about the next downturn if this surprised you. Well, for those people who didn't like how bad their portfolio performed, what are some simple adjustments you would have them make if you were their financial advisor? Yeah, so I am a do-it-yourself investor. I have some dividend stocks, and like my bond ETFs kicks out dividends, things like that, McDonald's, and I have that all go to cash, and I don't even pay attention to it. And then when we had like that 10% dip earlier this year, I used my cash to jump in. Is that a pretty good do-it-yourself utility there? Love it. Right. All right, Spencer McGowan, host of Net Worth Radio, also McGowan Wealth Group. Thank you very much for being on the James Show. All right, good stuff. Coming up next, all the local media outlets are running stories on the Robert Morris trial. Do you know who the Robert Morris trial is? What that's going on? Because I think there's something insidious behind it, and I'll expose it next on the James Show. 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. there, welcome back to the James Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. You may have some hot sports opinions on this one, 800-288-9227. So I noticed today in local media, TV stations, newspapers, most of the platforms here that we consider the legacy media in North Texas, they are all running stories on the Robert Morris trial. Robert Morris was the pastor of Gateway Church, and he was indicted in March on 5 counts of lewd or indecent acts to a child in Oklahoma. The Oklahoma Attorney General is charging him. So the update on this story, it's like, what's behind all these headlines? Why am I seeing this on 4 different platforms before I've even finished my first coffee? Well, this morning, today, on Friday, Robert Morris went in front of Judge Cindy Pickrell and had a scheduling hearing. It was, they were scheduling a preliminary hearing set for September 4th. The entire hearing that they had today lasted about a minute, according to the reports from Dallas Morning News. Now, I wasn't there, but there were other media outlets there. And that's it? Yeah, that's all that happened today. They had a 1-minute hearing in Judge Cindy's court where they scheduled a preliminary hearing for September 4th. Is that newsworthy? Is that really? And it's not like it was the 18th story that's scrolling down way far on the news site you'll find. It's listed with the top stories. It's listed in the headlines. What we used to call above the fold, which came from when we had a printed paper. When the paper's folded up, everything that's above that first fold, you can see from inside the machine. So now we use that term as when you pull up the website, it's whatever pops up on your screen without you having to scroll. And that's where all of these were. They were above the fold headline. So it wasn't just a story. It was a top story. A 1-minute hearing where nothing happened except something got scheduled for September 4th. So explain this to me like I'm 10 years old. Why does this story get constant updates along every step of the trial process when so many of these other stories don't? I mean, think about the epidemic of teacher sex scandals. Is it because child sex scandals are so newsworthy that it's reasonable to cover every teeny tiny detail, even down to 1-minute scheduling hearings? No, that's not it. They don't do it for these other children's sex scandals. A good example would be the teachers. Is it because child sex scandals are so popular with the audience that it's good for business? You know, good for ratings. They're not doing this because it's necessarily newsworthy, but you'd be dumb not to hype this because it's so good for ratings and thus good for advertiser and good for business. No, or they would do it with all child sex scandals. Is it because it's children? Maybe that's it. Maybe children are just really sympathetic victims when it comes to sex crimes. No, because they still ignore all these other ones too. Well, is there a racial angle? You know, because that's an inflamed topic that, you know, if you put it in context, is something we talk about on a regular basis. This is just the next chip to fall in that. No, there's not a racial angle. There's not an illegal immigrant angle. There's not even like any other angle that I can see other than anti-Christianity. Because the answer to all those others, it's just demonstrably no. If any of those journalist excuses were legit, why do you never, ever, ever, ever get a top headline on every single minute step through the hundreds of child sex crimes with teachers? Gateway Church had protesters. Have you ever seen protesters react that way to a public school that had child sex crimes? No. What about a daycare? What about a daycare that had child sex crimes? That comes up sometimes. You ever get protesters there? You ever get the 1-minute scheduling hearing on a daycare worker that was abusing kids? No. So the simplest logical conclusion of this, the media has an anti-Christian bias, period. And it's part of being a lefty. It's part of the, you know, trademark, the narrative. And it's easy to see why it goes against the narrative. Christians are one of the biggest antagonists, politically speaking, for lefties. And it's imperative that they try and keep people away from churches. Don't go listen to Christians. You might fall in love and get married and have children in wedlock and adopt traditional values and pay into the tax system. And before too long, you'll be voting for Republicans. And it's not just like a religion thing, because they don't hype Islamic linked child sex crimes like this. And what? Because it never happens? Or is it just the media is not as interested in it? Do you get this level of coverage for Islamic honor killings, like someone that chops her daughter's head off because she was dating a Westerner? Did you get the top top of the page headline about their 1 minute long scheduling hearing. Because it wasn't just that. I mean, you got a description of who all was in the building, who all was in the room. You got a picture of the victim and some of the other people that were there, and they got to lift off some family members and some other friends from childhood. Seriously, did the Dallas Morning News or any of these other outlets give you this much follow-up on either one of the Trump assassination attempts? Did you get this much follow-up on the BLM rally, the Black Lives Matter rally, where 6 Dallas cops got murdered? Did you get this much follow-up on the Prophet Muhammad cartoon contest? You know, that second guy that tried to kill Trump in Florida, he's still alive. He's going through the process. You didn't get 18 paragraphs in a biography of the guy who tried to kill the president at his 1 minute scheduling hearing. Why not? Well, look out, Parker. We found a pastor who's accused of a sex crime from 40 years ago, and that's a bigger story? Only if you're anti-Christian. Only if you're picking and choosing based on your narrative and you have an implicit anti-Christian bias. Show me the teacher sex story. Prove me wrong. Easy to prove me wrong. Show me the teacher sex story where you had this thorough of reporting, where you saw a top headline across all media when the accusations came out. Because, and this one, I mean, I don't think you've realized how much this has been run in front of your face, because you got the headlines when the accusations came out on some Christian blog last year against Robert Morris. You got another flurry of headlines when he responded to the allegations. There's another above the fold flurry of headlines when he got fired from the church, headlines when the protesters protested at the church, headlines when the courts charged him, headlines when he turned himself in, headline when he's arraigned. Headlines now that there's a 1 minute scheduling hearing, and we're going to get more headlines on September 4th. And it's not just headlines. In the article, you get a full rundown. You get just all kinds of details that they never even touch or bother with. And this is why the criticism of Trump's AI photo as the Pope last weekend was so fake. It was so hollow. The narrative despises Christianity and seeks to diminish it in every turn. And we're supposed to believe that you were offended by Trump's Pope picture? So am I overthinking this? Or have you just been looking at anti-Christian bias in the media for your entire life? 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. Coming up, Jennifer Hargrave, Dallas divorce attorney, on how are cryptocurrencies divvied up in a divorce. And I'm going to ask her, what's the leading cause of divorce? You know, in case you screw up your Mother's Day present this weekend. That's next on The James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there, welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. That's a little serious music for Mother's Day weekend there, Garrett. We're not about to go into a rap battle here. We're trying to save our marriage. Isn't that right? Jennifer Hargrave is a Dallas divorce attorney, and I have a couple of, in honor of Mother's Day weekend, some guys out there going to drop the ball on Mother's Day, screw it up so bad that it'll be the last time. And someone's going to get a divorce triggered this weekend. I feel it. Do you get a bump after Mother's Day?
I like your optimism there. Yeah, I mean, like after Valentine's Day, right? And now if he's going to blow off Mother's Day, that's pretty unforgivable. So it is good advice to make sure you take care of the moms in your life.
What are you asking for Mother's Day, Jennifer?
I just asked for peace and quiet.
Oh, stop it. Your kid's got to get you something. I met him.
That's right. We'll see. I like surprises.
No, you don't do that. Don't make it a guessing game. You tell them what you want, and then they go get it, and then no one gets in trouble.
Who's the one here giving marriage advice?
Well, have you been divorced before?
I have not.
Well, neither have I, so I guess we're tied. All right, let's talk about something specific here. It was brought up in an article I read about what happens with cryptocurrencies in a divorce. I mean, if they're off the grid, do they still get counted toward your assets, or are they kind of hidden?
Yeah, so there definitely is an obligation to disclose all assets, including those crypto assets, right? So most of the time, I mean, this isn't really a new concept. People have always kind of found ways to hide assets, but this creates, maybe it's a little bit easier than having to get an offshore bank and, wire transfers and all that. So yeah, I mean, it is definitely much more accessible. A lot of people have crypto assets, and you're still obligated to disclose that so that it can be part of the division. If it doesn't get disclosed, then oftentimes you're running the risk that you're going to be penalized if you didn't disclose it. A court can award that asset if it comes up after the divorce to the innocent spouse in that situation. But, the challenge is, how do you find these things?
Yeah, so you go through bank accounts, I imagine, Jennifer, as a divorce lawyer, you see like a big withdrawal and it goes to Coinbase or some other. In fact, I don't know how it would show up in your bank statement. How do they catch it?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. If you see, a couple of things will trigger some red flags. One, if we have cash withdrawals on a pretty consistent basis, if we see assets being transferred maybe to another account or to another individual, like you can see all of that on your bank statements. It's all there. Sometimes people like to think they're going to be, crafty, and they'll have their paycheck split and diverted into a secret account. And so we'll see that on the pay stubs. But yeah, sometimes we get, forensic accountants involved. Where are all these assets going? We see that there's all this income being earned, but then it's not reflected in the account. So we can hire specialists to go in and look at things as well.
Look, you're not my client. I mean, I'm not your client. You're not my lawyer. So maybe, can you even answer this question? If I did want to hide assets before a potential divorce, is there anything you would recommend? Is there something people use to get away with it?
I wouldn't recommend it for a variety of reasons, but I think it carries with it a lot of risk. And like I said, if a spouse thinks you're hiding assets, those spidey senses that they have, they're going to be all up in all of the things, and it's going to cost a lot of money to figure that out. So, I mean, there are certainly people who do that. There are people who get away with it. I fortunately I don't know of any cases where somebody has gotten away with that. And again, I think you're just exposing yourself to a lot of risk. Ultimately, it's much better to just make the disclosure and then deal with the division of assets on the table.
Yeah, and it's probably even better to not forget a good Mother's Day present at the last minute. Thanks, Jennifer Hargrave Family Law in Dallas. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Coming up next, I have some updates on these Democrat elected representatives who have attempted to break into the Delaney Hall ICE Detention Center in New Jersey. You're going to hear a statement, finally, from the Department of Homeland Security next on The James Show. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hello, fellow Texans. Welcome back to the James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Happy Mother's Day. I know it's a little early, but keep your Mother's Day suggestions coming in. I pretty much have the entire last segment full up of Mother's Day gift recommendations, but if you want to get a last second one in, James at WBAP.com or send me a Facebook message like most people. Top story right now, though, this happened right as the James Show was starting. A group of Democrats, there was 3 congressmen and the mayor of Newark, have broken into ICE detention facility, Immigration Customs Enforcement. They just reopened Delaney Hall in Newark at the beginning of the week. The mayor had spoken out against it, and he showed up there with a few congressmen, and they were demanding, as part of their statutory oversight powers, to be let in and check the place out. Now, upon further reporting, several people are saying that ICE stopped them at the gate and said, "Listen, we can schedule you an actual tour of the facility. We just can't let you in right now and walk around willy-nilly. We don't do that." And so when a bus was coming in, bringing in some of the new residents, a couple of the congressmen slipped in through the gate, and so did the mayor of Newark. Now, it's being reported that the mayor of Newark has been put in cuffs and arrested. I saw a video of someone saying, yeah, here he is getting arrested. I don't know if that's really him, but it looks like it. And there's a few people that are sharing that video. So it looks like he has been arrested, not detained. They put him in cuffs, and there was a guy on each elbow walking him away from the group. Homeland Security finally put out a report or released a statement. And Homeland Security says on Twitter, "Today, a bus of detainees was entering the security gate of Delaney Hall Detention Center. A group of protesters, including 2 members of the U.S. Congress, stormed the gate and broke into the detention facility. The allegations by Newark politicians that Delaney does not have the proper permitting is false." And then it says, "Meet who the New Jersey lawmakers are fighting for." And then in their own comment section, they just start listing out these guys with their mugshots. Here's Chinchilla Caballero. That's really his name, Chinchilla. That's probably a fake name. But it says he's in ICE custody, pending removal proceedings. He's positive match to numerous TEC lookouts and is a known active member of MS-13. And then the next guy is wanted in Brazil for homicide, has an Interpol red notice. Jesus. The next one, another guy who's a known MS-13 gang affiliation, citizen of El Salvador. We have another guy who has multiple felony convictions for drugs, drug trafficking, resisting arrest, weapons for unlawful purposes. Here's a 58-year-old guy from the Dominican, drugs, obstruction of law, aggravated unlicensed driving, assault with a deadly weapon with intent to kill, interfere with the custody of children. So they just keep going on, and I'm sure this list could be just infinitely longer here. But that's a good point. That's probably the first thing you thought. Man, look at how hard they are fighting for these prisoners, these illegal immigrant criminals. You ever had anyone go to jail? You ever had a friend or a college buddy, or for me, it was an uncle, go to prison? Did any of these lawmakers or any lawmakers go demand to be let into prison to make sure they weren't being mistreated, to make sure their living conditions were up to standard, to make sure that they were getting their full complement of human rights, that they were safe, that they weren't experiencing any hardship? Did they do that for your family? Did they do that for your uncle? They didn't do it for mine. Have they done this for any American citizen? Oh, man, what are they? They think this is going to help? They think this is going to resonate positively with the American people? I mean, even the people in New Jersey, the Team Blue guys, they've got to be like, dude, how far are you going to take this? And if you go look at the AP, what was the AP headline? Because it was so sanitary. Let me scroll up here. Here it is. New Jersey mayor arrested at ICE detention center where he was protesting, prosecutor says. Oh, that's your headline? He wasn't protesting at an ICE detention center. He broke in to an ICE detention center beyond protesting. He was demanding to just have run of the place. He was demanding to go where if you and I did the exact same thing he did, we would get arrested too. There's no injustice here. AP, shame on you for not admitting in the headline that he broke into the detention center. Shame on you, because that's what the U.S. attorney said. We already read her statement a few segments ago on the James Show, and now we have a response here. Where did that one go? From Phil Murphy, the governor of New Jersey. Oh no, Phil Murphy does not like this. Phil Murphy, oh my, how dare you arrest this nice guy just for having free speech? Well, that's not why he got arrested. Here's the statement from Governor Phil Murphy of New Jersey on the Newark mayor, Ras Baraka, getting arrested after breaking into a detention facility at the beginning of the James Show. He says, I am outraged by the unjust arrest of Newark Mayor Ras Baraka earlier this afternoon outside of Delaney Hall in Newark. Oh, are you? How do you know it's unjust? It hadn't even been adjudicated. You know, we hadn't even had due process. Due process. Over the past few months, Mayor Baraka, as well as advocates, faith leaders, members of our congressional delegation, have protested the opening of a private immigration detention center in the city of Newark. 4 years ago, I was proud to sign a law banning private immigration detention centers in New Jersey. And just last week, my administration was leading the fight to defend that law before the Third Circuit Court of Appeals. Mayor Baraka is an exemplary public servant who has always stood up for our most vulnerable neighbors. I am calling for his immediate release by federal law enforcement. Yes, I demand he be released. How about no? How about follow the law and you don't have to worry about it? Oh, yeah, and I had some audio here. I wanted you to hear. Were they just protesting? Were they just standing outside, just sending out the vibes? Or did it get a little hairy? Was there 100 or so protesters there? And were they trying to break in? This is where the gates open, and when the bus went through and they were trying to shut, this is when people rushed to try and get through the gates. And some policemen that are in black, some policemen that are in green, and some ICE guys who are in navy blue had to like rush in and stop them. Listen to this. Yeah, just a peaceful protest. Just a peaceful protest. Oh, yeah. Great people, right? It is peaceful. No, you're forcing your way into a criminal trespassing on a federal facility. Yeah, it's not really a peaceful protest when you're committing a crime doing it. Here's the question. Should the Democratic lawmakers who stormed the ICE facility in Newark today, should they be expelled from the House? Hell yeah, they should be expelled from the House. You go and you intentionally, forcefully break a law like this. It's not like, a campaign finance, you were missing some of your paperwork. You're missing the cover sheet on your TPS report. This is forcing your way into a detention facility where a member of the government, the security, is telling you are not allowed to come in and you just force your way in. Hell yeah, you should get expelled from the House. 800-288-9227. Coming up next, John Jacques Taylor is going to discuss the amazing situation the Stars are in, where they're carrying the hopes and dreams of the entire Dallas sports fandom on their back. Find out next on The James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there, welcome back to the James Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. In an effort to keep you updated on sports without you having to watch games and invest all that time, Jean-Jacques Taylor, Dallas sports media legend, on the James Show, just to try and explain to you how awesome the Stars storyline is going so far. Welcome back to the show, Jean-Jacques.
What's up, man?
All right, Mikko Rantanen did something that had never been done before. He had natural hat tricks in 2 back-to-back games. Natural hat trick being you score 3 goals in 1 period. How magical is that?
Oh, I mean, I think it's phenomenal considering it hadn't happened since Edmonton's Jari Kurri did it in the early 80s, and he was playing with the great one, Wayne Gretzky, when he did it. I think if you go beyond that, though, man, it's there's a reason to me why the Stars lost in the playoffs to Edmonton last year. It was they had a bunch of 25 and 30 goal scorers, a bunch of really good players, whether it's Rupe Hintz or Jason Robertson or Tyler Seguin. But none of those guys were able to elevate their game in the playoffs and make an impact. And so when you go get Rantanen, who's considered one of the top 5 players in the game, it's not so much the regular season. It's in the playoffs. Can you take us where we're trying to go? Can you elevate yourself in the moments? Because what is it about the playoffs, man? That's when legacies are formed. And right now, he's in a legacy-defining moment. Now, nobody expects him to have a hat trick every game or even score a couple goals every game, but he's making himself a force, and with the other players around him, it bodes well for the Stars.
Well, he's doing good, but it's not that he's doing too good. It's that some of these stats, like in that streak there where he had the 6 goals across 2 games, if you back it up one more game, this guy has been involved in the last 12 Stars goals as either one of the 2 assists or the goal scorer himself. And that kind of has me worried. Does our Michael Jordan not have a Scottie Pippen?
You worry about too much, man.
Thank you.
That's overthinking mentality, bro. No, man, it just means he's been. In hockey, you got 2 assists on every goal.
Sure.
So you can be the man next to the man who has the assist. That's what you want, though. You want your best players getting everybody involved. And so he's not only scoring, he's feeding some people too.
Yeah, but I sweat over that because that means the Stars aren't scoring unless this guy is on the ice, or at least for 3 games or whatever the streak was.
That's why they double shifting him, my friend, which means they're playing him where he usually plays on the first line, and then they give him a little time on the 4th line. But I think the longer the series goes, you'll start to see, guys like Wyatt Johnston and Rupe and Robo get more involved in the offensive action. But for now, you got a guy who's leading the way. So don't worry about it. Don't overanalyze it. Enjoy that thing.
Well, my friends down the hall at the Ticket are getting really optimistic about their chances, because last year felt so close, and we actually did add a crucial piece to the team that almost got us there last year. Do you share their optimism?
No, because I live in the moment. I like to stand where my feet are, as coaches have said since the beginning of time. Why don't we just worry about game 2? How about that? Let's not worry about what they can do if they're going to get Edmonton or Las Vegas in the final. Why don't we just worry about game 2 in Winnipeg? Because Winnipeg has tapped that behind this regular season. That was the first time the Stars beat them this season. So can they replicate it? Will they come out with some similar energy? Because you're going to get a great game from Winnipeg because they're feeling kind of desperate. And if we're really telling the truth, if we're going to really tell the truth, Winnipeg was coming off of a double overtime game against St. Louis where they trailed the whole game. There was an emotional letdown after that game. So the Stars really should have beaten them in game 1 just because they had a mental edge. Game 2 will be much more indicative of what Winnipeg has to offer, and I expect it to be a very tight contest, and I wouldn't be surprised if Winnipeg took it to them.
Well, at least they won the game 1. They've been doing so poorly in game 1s as of late that I'm glad they broke that streak.
Oh, no. It's I think they were 0-8 in game 1. It's good not to have to chase a series for a change. And so, that's why I said it was important for them to get off to a good start, in part because Winnipeg is beaten so often. So I think, I think they're in a good position. They're playing really well now after the end of the regular season where they stunk. And now let's just see what they can do.
Well, every great team is anchored by a legendary goalie. You know, the one time we won it, we had Eddie. Is Ottinger the guy?
I think that's to be determined. That's why I said legacies are forged in the postseason. So he's off to a good start. He was phenomenal the other day. And, this is going to be tough, man, because Winnipeg had the most points in the NHL. They won the President's Cup. Edmonton's really good. Las Vegas is really good. There's no easy route to the Cup. And then whoever you face in the East is going to be outstanding. So it's a tough ride, man. It's going to be hard. They're going to lose some games along the way. But they have the talent to get it done. They got a superstar in Ratnan, and they got a guy in Ottinger who looks like he's finding himself and is ready to put on, one of those performances for the ages and make a move in the playoffs.
All right, we're talking with Jean-Jacques Taylor. Jacques Talk is his podcast, and in the last one, you talked about the George Pickens trade. What are some of the things that we haven't considered about the George Pickens trade?
Well, I mean, I think it's whether we're talking about athletes or whether we're talking about significant others, what you get is what you get. Don't be expecting people to change. So if part of what he did in Pittsburgh was show up late and, have some dysfunction, nothing criminal, just regular, habitually late and all this kind of stuff that led to him getting fined more than $100,000 over the course of a couple of years, then expect that same type of behavior in Dallas. That being said, he's a terrific football player, and if you can get him focused and make him have pride in his overall performance, and what that means is there's a lot that goes into catching the football, man, or being a player on a football team. You can't half run your route or run it with, half intensity if you feel like you're not getting the ball. Or if, your day has not gone right in the third quarter, now you start loafing. You got to play with the same intensity for the entire 4 quarters. And if they can figure out a way to unlock that and get him to do that, then he can really be a dynamic player and he can really help them. And, only time will tell. But I also believe in, like you've heard a lot out of Pittsburgh. He's a bad guy. He's this, he's that. I pay zero attention to that. And here's what I mean. Everybody has their own individual relationship with every player. And so just because he was a jerk to you in Pittsburgh, y'all might have been a jerk to him. Maybe he didn't like y'all for whatever reason. And so I've always done that, which is why one of the things I've been able to do in the course of my career is I've gotten a lot of players, whether it's Charles Haley or Eric Williams or Leon Lett or Larry Allen, guys who didn't talk very much, if at all, they all talk to me. And that's because my focus on creating individual relationships with players. And I'll do the same with George Pickens once I meet him out there. Now, maybe that'll result in him talking to me or maybe it won't. But it'll be because of me and him, not because of what I'm using air quotes even though you can't see me, what the media has said or done.
All right, good stuff. Jean-Jacques Taylor, you can find his work on the Jacques Talk podcast. Dallas sports media legend, thank you for joining the James Show, sir.
All right, brother. Appreciate you.
Thanks so much. Coming up next, we're going to play Name That Artist. I've got to give away tickets to see Bret Michaels in June. If you're interested, 800-288-9227. Go ahead and call in. 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there, welcome back to the James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. We're about to start our James Show game show, Name That Artist. Today is the Mother's Day edition. All the songs will have a mom reference of some sort. And if you're interested in winning a pair of tickets to see Bret Michaels, he's going to be at WinStar World Casino and Resort on June 28th. Get tickets information at winstar.com, or there are 2 lines open if you want to try and win them here from Name That Artist. 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. All right, all you fine people on hold over there, get out a piece of paper and a pen or pencil, or, I don't know, poke your finger and write in blood for all I care. Or you can get a notepad file opened on your phone and type in the 10 artists to these songs. Go. Yeah. Of course. Mama tried. Yeah, I turned 21 in prison. All right. Do we need to do that again, or do you think they got it? Let's ask. Here, Lisa will be my litmus test. All right, Lisa, did you get to write all those down, or do you need to hear it again?
I'd like to hear it again. I wrote it all down, but it would help to hear it again.
Okay, hang on. Second opinion. There you go. All right, fantastic. Let's try this again. I bet you're ready now, Lisa. And I'm going to a woman first because...
Yes, I am.
Wait, are you a mother?
Yes, I am, and a grandmother.
All right. Well, then I'm glad I went to you first. We're going to try and make your Mother's Day. This will be your gift, okay, Lisa?
Okay.
All right, let's hear your list. Ready, go.
All right, I got Queen, Ozzy Osbourne.
Oh, hang on. I hit the wrong button there. Yes, Queen. No, there was another one between Queen and Ozzy.
2 I don't have. 3 I've got Ozzy Osbourne.
Okay.
4 I've got Blood, Sweat, and Tears.
No.
Ooh, dang it! That was close. I know it was. I know who it was. Then, dang it.
Well,
okay, all right.
You want to just recover that one real quick? What was your second guess?
Yeah. How about? Oh shoot. 3 Dog Night.
There you go. We'll give a little
There you
leeway
go.
for the moms. It's your weekend. What's the next one?
Thanks. After that was Paul Simon.
Yes, it's the only one I missed actually. Go ahead.
Number 6, I don't know.
Oh, okay.
7, ABBA.
Figured you'd know that one.
Yeah. 8 and 9, I don't know either one of those, sadly.
Wow. Especially considering what the tickets are for today.
I know. I thought of that as soon as I wrote it down.
Okay.
And the next year, Waylon Jennings and Merle Haggard.
Let's see what the guys. Hang on. Don't hang up, Lisa. Don't hang up. Brian, do you know the ones that she missed?
Poison.
Is that all you got?
Poison. Is Merle Haggard one of them?
Yeah, hang on. Jason in Frisco, do you have the full list?
I think I do.
Go.
I think I do. Queen, Elton John, Ozzy, 3 Dog Night, Paul Simon, ABBA.
Whoa, you skipped one.
Oh no. ABBA, LL, Poison, Waylon, and Merle.
No one had the full list, so I'm going to default to the ladies since it's Mother's Day. Lisa Waxahachie, you're my winner on Name That Artist. Congratulations, young lady.
Thank you so much.
All right. Now, you just won 2 tickets to go see Bret Michaels, the guy who sings Your Mama Don't Dance and Your Daddy Don't Rock and Roll. He was in Poison.
Right.
These
I
are,
realized that after the fact.
okay, so yeah.
Okay.
You're going to go see him, WinStar World Casino, June?
Yes, I will. I've watched a lot of his documentaries and stuff. He's a real interesting guy.
Interesting guy. That's not necessarily a compliment. All right, fantastic. I agree, though. That's probably what I would use, too. He's a real interesting guy. Yeah, and I remember my friend Brandon got the Poison, the tape, open up and say R, or which one had their 4 faces on it? Because I remember when I saw that for the first time, I was like, I didn't know their drummer was a chick, and really she's not that hot either. Because they all kind of look like ladies. What was going on in the 80s? This is a little before I was alive, but I was like 9 when that came out. And so dudes were wearing makeup and they were teasing their hair up. They would grow their hair out real long and they would tease it up. Was everybody trying to have the same haircut in the 80s, boys and girls? A lot of tight pants, a lot of spandex, a lot of cut off shirts for dudes. What was going on in the 80s? What's wrong with you people? That explains a little. And my only answer for that is probably cocaine. That's it. All right, so that's today's edition of Name That Artist. Come back, we'll do Dead or Alive on Monday show. I got to give away tickets again. Coming up next, you're going to hear some gift recommendations for Mother's Day from me and a whole bunch of other listeners who want to give you some great ideas. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey, homeowners. Look, we got through a nice round of storms again this week. And if you have any doubt whatsoever about your roof, why not just go ahead and call and get the free inspection from Blue Ribbon Roofing? James Parker here. If you want to feel better and not just trust the guy that you hear on the radio, you can go look at some of their 5-star Google reviews. And these aren't Google reviews that we're pulling up from 2014. I have one here from April 8th of this year. So exactly 1 month ago today. Doris wrote on Google, Blue Ribbon Roofing is the best. We did not understand how the insurance process works. We do now. John, Tish, and Trevor not only called our claim in, but also met the claim representative at our house. got us paid for a new roof, new gutters, and staining on our fence. We have several properties. We will always use Blue Ribbon. And then 5 stars. Yeah, I didn't know that you could get an insurance company to pay for a new staining on the fence. I didn't even know you could ask for that. Well, Blue Ribbon does. Why? Because they've been doing this for 31 years. And it's not some national franchise where the same people are people are being cycled in and out on a 4-month basis. John, Tish, and Trevor have been at the helm, and they're going to be at the helm. It's a family business. They're not going anywhere. And so if you want some people with experience, with trusted crews who are going to answer the phone, show up quickly, help you with all the insurance, you want BlueRibbonDFW.com. That's where you're going to go, BlueRibbonDFW.com. If you tell me you heard it on the James Show and you do need a new roof, you get a free ridge vent ventilation upgrade. Go to BlueRibbonDFW.com. Hey there, welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Gentlemen, this is the last time I'm going to remind you, you have Mother's Day this weekend. Do not forget, do not wait until the last minute. You will not be guaranteed that flowers will be available by mid-afternoon on Sunday. And I wouldn't even wait till tomorrow. Go get something today. You're about to get off work, right? Your weekend's about to begin. Go get something. What do I get, James? Well, that's what the listeners are for. I've got some good recommendations over here. Sylvia did something unusual here that it's not just a gift. She says, what I did one year for my mother was plant a flower garden outside the window she sat near most often. She came over at 3 a.m. with all the plants. When a cop came by around 4:30, she had to explain to him, yeah, I'm surprised at my mother with a flower garden. And she got the whole 3-foot by 5-foot garden planted before sunrise. So when she got up to start her day, she opened the patio door and boom, new, bright, pretty flowers were blooming. She says, except for the roses, Easter lilies, and flags she already had elsewhere on the property. You know what? I had never thought of that or heard of that. And so I just wanted to do that one first, the experiential gifts. And then I got a whole lot of, instead of take her to dinner, fix her dinner, instead of buy her a card, make her a card, make her something. A lot of it was do something she wants to do, which is, I mean, kind of obvious for some people, but I managed to screw that up every once in a while. But I also like the custom set of gift certificates. Who is this from? From Dave. He said, make a set of gift certificates, a 1-hour foot rub, a 1-hour back rub, which sounds like a long time for a back rub, dinner to her choice, dinner in of her choice, 1 argument win for her, maybe 2 argument wins for her, and then 1 day shopping with her as a driver. Look at that. Can't go wrong with flowers. If you've got the money, you can just pile up some super duper expensive jewelry. It's real hard to complain about that if you're in that position. I'm not necessarily. So just don't forget. The worst thing you can do is forget. A bad gift is better than no gift. Then you're just an idiot instead of thoughtless, and which is better. It's an improvement in my world. All right, go have a good weekend. Have a good Mother's Day. Come back. We'll do this again on Monday. In the meantime, the James Show podcast will be out there to keep you company till I get back. I'm James Parker. This has been the James Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3.